What if I told you there's a garden bed in my backyard that I planted 7 years ago, and it's still feeding my family today without a single seed packet or transplant since then? No replanting, no annual costs, just pure, delicious food appearing year after year like clockwork. Sounds impossible? Stick around because what I'm about to share will completely change how you think about growing your own food. Hey there, garden friend. Welcome back to Serene Green Gardens. If you're new here, I'm so glad you found us. This is where we explore smart, budget-friendly ways to grow more food with less work. And to my returning viewers, thank you for being here. You know we always bring you practical tips that actually work in real gardens, not just theory. Today, we're diving into something truly special. These aren't your typical garden plants. We're talking about crops that laugh in the face of winter, return stronger each spring, and keep producing for decades. Before we dig in, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss our weekly garden wisdom. And if you've been dreaming of a garden that practically takes care of itself, drop a comment below telling me which of these plants you're most excited to try. I read every single comment and love hearing from you. All right. Let's get into these 9 incredible perennial crops that'll keep your table full and your wallet happy. Perennial crop number 1, walking onions. Let's start with something that sounds like it belongs in a fairy tale. Walking onions. Yes, they actually walk across your garden bed, and here's how it works. These quirky plants produce small bulbs at the top of their stalks instead of flowers. When those top bulbs get heavy enough, the stalk bends over and plants itself a few inches away from the mother plant. It's like watching your onions slowly migrate across the garden bed, claiming new territory each season. Now here's what makes them incredible for your budget. Plant them once and they'll keep multiplying forever. You can harvest the underground bulbs just like regular onions or snip the green tops for a mild onion flavor in your cooking. The little top bulbs, though, those are edible too, perfect for pickling or roasting. They're tougher than nails. Freezing temperatures don't bother them one bit. In fact, they need that cold period to really thrive. I've seen mine pop up through snow and early spring, ready to give me fresh greens when everything else is still sleeping. Plant them in the fall, give them decent soil with good drainage, and then just step back. They'll handle the rest. Within 2 years, you'll have more onions than you know what to do with, and you can share the extras with neighbors or start new patches around your yard. Perennial crop number 2, asparagus. Now, asparagus gets talked about sometimes, but most people don't realize just how long this investment pays off. We're talking 20 to 30 years of harvests from a single planting. That's not a typo. 3 decades. Here's the thing that stops most gardeners. Asparagus makes you wait. You plant crowns or seeds, and then you have to resist harvesting for the first 2 years. I know, it feels like torture, watching those beautiful spears emerge and having to leave them alone. But this patience is what builds a strong root system that'll feed you for the next several decades. Year 3, that's when the magic starts. Each spring, these tender spears shoot up from the ground so fast, you can almost watch them grow. During peak season, you might be harvesting every single day because they grow that quickly. The financial math here is stunning. A bundle of fresh asparagus at the grocery store runs you anywhere from $4 to $7. One good asparagus patch can give you dozens of bundles each spring. We're talking hundreds of dollars worth of produce annually from a bed you planted once. They like sunny spots and well-drained soil. Before planting, work in lots of compost or aged manure because these plants will be there for decades and you want to set them up right. Dig your trench about 8 inches deep, spread out those crown roots, and cover them up. After harvest season ends in early summer, let the ferns grow tall and ferny. Those feeds the roots for next year's crop. Cut them down after frost kills them, mulch the bed, and wait for spring magic to happen all over again. Perennial crop number 3, rhubarb. Rhubarb is that stunning plant your grandmother probably grew, with massive leaves that look tropical and stalks that make the most incredible pies and jams you've ever tasted. Here's what most people miss about rhubarb. It's not just long-lived, it's practically immortal. There are rhubarb plants still producing that were planted over 100 years ago. Think about that. Your great-great-grandchildren could be harvesting from the same plant you put in the ground this year.
The stalks are what you harvest, pulling them gently with a twisting motion rather than cutting. And here's a critical safety note. Only eat the stalks. The leaves contain oxalic acid and shouldn't be consumed, but they make excellent mulch for the base of the plant. Rhubarb prefers cooler climates and actually needs a cold winter to produce well. If you're in a warmer zone, look for varieties bred for less chill requirement, though results can be mixed. Give it a spot with morning sun and afternoon shade if you're in a warmer area, full sun if you're in cooler zones. Rich soil makes it happy, and a yearly top dressing of compost keeps it producing heavily. The first year after planting, don't harvest. Let it establish. Year 2, take a few stalks but don't go crazy. Year 3 and beyond, harvest away. A mature plant can give you stalks for 8 to 10 weeks each spring. One plant feeds a family. 2 or 3 plants, and you're making enough pies and preserves to share with everyone you know. The savings add up quickly when you're not buying expensive rhubarb at the market. Quick pause here. If you're finding this valuable, show me some love by hitting that like button. It helps more gardeners discover these budget-friendly growing methods. And drop a comment telling me, do you already grow any perennial crops? What's been your experience? I love learning from your stories too. Now let's keep going because the next few plants are absolute game changers. Perennial crop number 4, horseradish. Horseradish is the plant that'll make you wonder why anyone bothers buying that jar of prepared stuff from the store. Fresh horseradish is so much more vibrant and flavorful. It's not even a fair comparison. Here's the beautiful part about growing horseradish. It's nearly indestructible. Seriously, the bigger challenge is keeping it contained rather than keeping it alive. This plant wants to take over, which is actually great news for your food security, but means you should think carefully about placement. Plant it in a large container if you want control, or give it its own dedicated bed away from other perennials. Once established, it'll spread through underground roots, and any tiny piece of root left in the soil will sprout a new plant. Dig down in fall after frost has sweetened the roots, or in early spring before new growth starts. Dig out, remove some roots, and leave others to keep growing. Those roots you harvest can be grated fresh for the most amazing condiment you've ever tasted. Mix it with vinegar and a pinch of salt, and you've got homemade prepared horseradish that cost pennies. The leaves are huge and tropical looking, making this a surprisingly attractive plant for an edible garden. Give it decent soil and occasional water, and it'll thrive without much attention. One root cutting from a friend or a small purchase plant will supply your family forever. That's serious return on investment. Perennial crop number 5, sorrel. Sorrel is one of those plants that makes you feel like you're in on a delicious secret that most people haven't discovered yet. It's a leafy green with a bright lemony tang that wakes up salads, soups, and sauces. This plant is ready to harvest incredibly early in spring, often before your annual greens have even been planted. That means fresh salads when everything else is still brown and dormant. The value of that early harvest is huge, both for your table and for your spirit after a long winter. Sorrel grows in clumps that expand slowly each year. The leaves look similar to spinach, but with more of an arrow shape. You can start harvesting as soon as the plant has several leaves, taking outer leaves and letting the center continue growing. It handles partial shade beautifully, making it perfect for those tricky spots under fruit trees or on the north side of buildings where sun-loving crops struggle. Give it moderate moisture and decent soil, and it'll be happy for years. There are 2 main types worth knowing about. Garden sorrel has larger leaves and a stronger flavor, while French sorrel is more refined with a gentler citrus note. Both are excellent, so try whichever you can find. Here's a bonus. Sorrel stays productive through summer if you keep it watered, unlike spinach and lettuce that bolt in heat. Cut back any flower stalks that appear to keep the plant focused on leaf production. One small plant quickly becomes a generous clump that provides greens for months each year, returning faithfully every spring without you planting a single seed.
Perennial crop number 6, sunchokes. Sunchokes, also called Jerusalem artichokes, are probably the most productive perennial crop you've never heard of. These tall, sunflower-like plants produce underground tubers that taste like a nutty, sweet artichoke heart. Let me give you an idea of their productivity. Plant 1 pound of tubers, and by the end of the first season, you could harvest 20 to 50 pounds. That's not an exaggeration. These plants are prolific to the point of being almost aggressive. The tubers are knobby and irregular, which makes them look unusual, but doesn't affect their delicious flavor. You can roast them, sauté them, puree them into soup, or even eat them raw in salads. They develop a sweeter flavor after frost touches them, so fall and winter harvests are ideal. Now, fair warning, sunchokes are vigorous, very vigorous. Plant them where you don't mind them spreading, or use barriers to contain them. Any tiny tuber left in the soil will regrow, so they're nearly impossible to eliminate once established. This makes them perfect for a permanent food forest or dedicated perennial bed. They grow tall, often reaching 6 to 8 feet, with cheerful yellow flowers in late summer that attract pollinators and add beauty to your garden. The plants handle poor soil, drought, and neglect better than most crops. Plant tubers in spring, about 4 inches deep and 12 inches apart. By summer, you'll have a towering stand of plants. After frost kills the tops in fall, wait a few weeks for sugars to develop in the tubers, then start harvesting. You can leave tubers in the ground all winter, digging them as needed, since they store better in soil than in your refrigerator. The economics are impressive. 1 small bag of tubers from a farmer's market or seed company planted once feeds you forever and multiplies endlessly. Perennial crop number 7, lovage. Lovage is the herb that tastes like celery had a love child with parsley, and it grows into a massive, productive plant that asks almost nothing in return. Most people have never heard of lovage, which is a shame because it's one of the most useful perennial herbs you can grow. The leaves, stems, seeds, and even roots are edible, giving you multiple harvests from one plant. Use the leaves anywhere you'd use celery or parsley. They have a strong, savory flavor, so a little goes a long way. The hollow stems can be used like celery stalks in soups and stews. The seeds, which form in the second year, taste similar to celery seed and work beautifully in pickling and seasoning blends. This plant gets big. We're talking 4 to 6 feet tall and equally wide at maturity. But that size means you're getting abundant harvests from spring through fall. Start cutting leaves once the plant reaches about a foot tall and keep harvesting throughout the growing season. Lovage is nearly maintenance-free. It handles cold winters without protection, doesn't mind some shade, and rarely has pest problems. Give it decent soil and regular water during its first season to establish, then it practically takes care of itself. 1 plant is truly enough for most families, unless you're making huge batches of soup or are a celery-obsessed household. The savings compared to buying fresh herbs or celery multiple times a week add up to real money over the years. Perennial crop number 8, Good King Henry. Good King Henry is an old-fashioned vegetable that our ancestors valued highly, but somehow got forgotten in modern gardens. It's time to bring it back, because this plant is a triple threat producer. In early spring, the young shoots can be harvested and cooked like asparagus. A few weeks later, the tender leaves are picked and prepared like spinach. Later in the season, you can harvest the flower buds and cook them similarly to broccoli. 3 different vegetables from 1 plant across multiple months. That's efficient. The flavor is mild and pleasant, similar to spinach, but with its own character. The leaves are triangular and slightly fleshy, growing on plants that reach about 2 feet tall. Good King Henry tolerates partial shade and poor soil better than most vegetables, making it ideal for those challenging spots in your garden. It's also incredibly cold hardy, surviving harsh winters and emerging early each spring. Start plants from seed or purchase young plants. Once established, they'll self-seed moderately, giving you new plants without taking over aggressively like some perennials. You can also divide mature clumps every few years to create new plants or refresh tired patches. Harvest shoots when they first emerge in spring by cutting them at ground level.
Let the plant leaf out, then begin picking outer leaves regularly. The more you harvest, the more tender new growth the plant produces. This is one of those vegetables that makes you feel connected to garden history. People have grown Good King Henry for centuries because it's reliable, productive, and delicious. Those are qualities that never go out of style.
Perennial crop number 9, Turkish rocket. Let's finish with Turkish rocket, a green that deserves way more attention than it gets. Imagine having fresh, tender salad greens available from early spring through late fall with no replanting required. Turkish rocket, also called Turkish arugula, forms a deep taproot that makes it drought-tolerant and long-lived. The leaves have a mild, nutty flavor similar to regular arugula but less peppery, making them perfect for people who find standard arugula too spicy. What sets this plant apart is its extended harvest season. While annual greens struggle in summer heat or winter cold, Turkish rocket keeps producing quality leaves through temperature extremes. It goes dormant in the hottest and coldest parts of the year, but bounces back quickly when conditions improve. Harvest by cutting outer leaves and letting the center continue growing. The plant will send up flower stalks eventually, but if you cut them back, leaf production continues. The flowers are edible too, adding a peppery kick and pretty color to salads. Turkish rocket handles poor soil and dry conditions once established, though it grows more vigorously with decent care. It self-seeds moderately, so you'll get volunteer plants appearing nearby, which you can transplant or leave where they sprout. Start plants from seed in spring or fall. They establish quickly and begin producing harvestable leaves within weeks. After that, you're set for years of fresh greens without buying seed packets or transplants. For budget-conscious gardeners, the savings from growing your own salad greens instead of buying expensive mixed greens at the store is substantial. One packet of Turkish rocket seeds planted once can keep you in fresh greens for years. So there you have it, 9 remarkable perennial crops that'll transform your garden from an annual expense into a long-term investment. Think about what we've covered. Onions that walk and multiply, asparagus that produces for 30 years, rhubarb that could outlive us all, horseradish that spreads itself, sorrel with its bright citrus flavor, incredibly productive sunchokes, versatile lovage, multi-use Good King Henry, and Turkish rocket that keeps giving greens through the seasons. The beautiful thing about perennials is that they flip the script on traditional gardening. Instead of starting from scratch every spring, buying seeds and transplants and amendments, you're building permanent food-producing systems that get stronger and more productive with time. Yes, some require patience in the beginning, but that patience pays dividends year after year after year. The money you save, the time you gain, and the food security you build are truly transformative. Start small if you're feeling overwhelmed. Pick 2 or 3 of these crops that excite you most. Get them established. Watch them prove themselves in your garden. Then add more as you see how reliable and rewarding they are. Your garden can become a place that keeps giving with less input from you. That's not laziness, that's wisdom. Work with nature's patterns instead of against them, and suddenly you're spending less money, less time, and less effort while harvesting more food. If this video opened your eyes to a different way of growing food, please subscribe to Serene Gardens so we can keep exploring budget-friendly, practical gardening together. Hit that like button to help other gardeners find this information. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 9 crops are you planning to try first? Have you grown any of them already? Share your experiences, ask questions, and let's learn from each other. Thanks so much for spending this time with me today. Until next week, keep growing, keep learning, and remember that the best gardens are the ones that keep giving long after the initial work is done. Happy gardening, friends!